Or it's called unobtainium. So crazy, right? So anyway, I have to say that I like the story. Definitely convoluted, and I think that has nothing to do with Michael Bay. A lot of people blame Michael Bay for ruining Transformers. I think he just directs, and he likes to direct big action. He has a certain directing style. I think it has to come. I think it comes to the writers, and I think that we know he can make a good movie. Pain and Gain was quite a surprise, although I didn't like it that much. It was a surprise, a different turn for him. The Island, which is very underrated in Michael Bay's filmography. Well, The Island is a fantastic film if you haven't ever seen it, with Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson. If you haven't seen The Island, check it out. It's easy to find. Very good flick. But overall, I have to say that it comes to the blame for the film's, I guess, horrendous story lays at the feet of the screenwriter, and that's Aaron Kruger, who wrote the second one primarily, which I hated, which I still think is worse than Age of Extinction. And he's responsible for the third, but he's not. But he wasn't the only one writing the third, I don't think. I'd have to double check my notes on that. But I have to say that Age of Extinction was better than the second one. I enjoyed it for what it was. My only two complaints is that it was it was too long. By the time you get to the end, you are so numb from all the action that you don't know what to do with yourself, because it is so mind-numbing in the fact that this action just keeps coming and coming and coming, and you don't know what's going on. So I think that was my one big complaint. And I think the other big complaint that everybody had is that there was not enough Dinobots. I don't know if that's a complaint per se. I think it's good, the fact that they were only around for like 10, 15 minutes. You can't be... These ancient dinosaur mechs don't talk, so you can't have them take up too much screen time. So overall, I think I'd give Age of Extinction and Spider-Man 2. I think I'd give it 3 stars.
Wow.
Yeah, overall. So catching up a bit on my summer movies, and then last but not least, I went to go watch an unconventional summer film. I went to see the Dinesh D'Souza film America. It's not even a movie, it's a documentary. He's responsible for the film a couple years ago called 2016, which I think everybody should see. It's quite a prophetic film. America is a film that I thoroughly enjoyed. I think every American should watch it, because if you've ever listened to the Big Fat Morning Show with myself and my other partner AZD, these are tropes that I've been talking about that no one ever talks about, the real story behind what America was like. Sure, we made mistakes, but we're certainly not an imperialistic, say as the British were. And I thought that America was a fantastic documentary, and I definitely recommend it to anyone out there. It's playing right now at your local theater. Check it out. I loved it, and I think you should watch it too, Professor Barry.
I will have to check out America, because I did see 2016 and I wasn't happy with it. I found it to be...
What, a hit piece?
Overreaching.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not somebody who doesn't love this country, and I'm not someone who doesn't engage with political documentaries, even when I may or may not agree with them.
Sure.
I objected to particularly a scene in 2016 that sticks with me, just feeling so false and forced.
Sure.
A scene where an African-American goes to a bar and everyone's giving him the cold shoulder, and it turns out it was just this surprise birthday party that was... It was just one of the many scenes in the film that just felt... forced, false, words fail me. I'm not necessarily... It's not that I'm not a fan of Dinesh D'Souza, and I certainly believe he deserves his voice and deserves the chance to make films.
You're doggone right he does.
He does, he absolutely does. And I appreciate that there are filmmakers like that out there. I really do. What I've heard, word on the street about America, was that it just isn't a good film. So I'm very curious. You're one of the few people I know who like the film.
It's not, you don't watch it for the art of it. You watch for the history of it. And you get a good notion of the history that people keep missing. One of the points that he makes in America is how everybody clings to Howard Zinn's book, The People's... I forget the name of Howard Zinn, The People's United States or whatever, the history of the people of the United States or whatever it is, Howard Zinn's book, that everybody clings on to that like it's some kind of real history of the Americas, and it isn't. It's far from it, as a matter of fact. They've got people on there that used to work with Zinn who were formerly communists, and they're telling him this guy's making up stories. So it's very fascinating, very interesting, and you find out that it's not... America's not without mistakes, but it's also one of the most amazing places you'll ever live, and I have to tell you, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I recommend it to anybody to go see it. It is absolutely fantastic. Like I said, we're the only place in the world that would, have a war with the Nazis, just, basically take out the Nazis and Germany, help them rebuild it, and then leave. Same with Japan. We drop the atomic bomb, we go in, help them rebuild, and then we leave it to Japan, and they have it themselves. We're not conquesting these places. We could have taken them over the moment we destroyed them, or the moment we basically, took them out of the war to get them out. We could have taken them over, and it would have been part of us, basically, in the East and in Germany, but we don't. So it's a very interesting... I thoroughly enjoyed the film. I know that it's not necessarily NerdWatch Nation worthy, I should say, because we talk about games and culture and comics and things like that, but I just wanted to recommend that to anybody. Watch it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. A wonderful, wonderful documentary piece. And like I said, don't watch it for the art. Watch it for the information.
That's the second time you've said that. Is there something lacking in the filmmaking?
Yeah, and it's not so much lacking in the filmmaking. It's budget. You can tell. Okay. It's budget. It's bigger than the last film, but still budget nonetheless. And of course, it's one of those films that it's not for liberal Hollywood. It's not exactly the one that you stake your money on. You know what I'm saying? Sure. It's not a documentary film like that. So anyway, check it out. America, A World Without Her. It's definitely on my high recommendation list.
How many stars?
I know.
There's not stars in the sky.
How many? Let me tell you how many for America. 50. That's right. 50 stars for 50 states. It's a 50-star.
That is a patriotic review right there.
Yeah, darn right it is. Absolutely. Amen to that. All right. Moving on to other big news.
As you unwrap yourself from the American flag.
Oh, man, as I unfurl my flag for the evening. Moving on to
Comic-Con.
What is, without a doubt, the convergence of all things nerd.
Yes.
It is Comic-Con 2014 in San Diego, California. It is where nerd culture, Hollywood, I guess you could say, meet or smash into each other, essentially. So, Barry, you've actually been to Comic-Con.
Yes.
You have actually been on the floor of the convention itself. Before we get into what's new this year, why don't you give us a taste of what it's like to be on the floor at Comic-Con?
The best thing about being there is you really do get the sense of excitement, of discovery. The studios go, they fall over themselves to basically give the audience a taste of something new, of something fun, and to present it in a way that's very theatrical. It's all about showmanship. It's funny saying this now because now it's neither here nor there. But in 2007, being there when there was a live feed to the set of Indiana Jones 4, and Steven Spielberg revealed that Karen Allen was in the film, I mean, the place went absolutely bonkers. When we got to see the Watchmen footage, it was the same thing. Everybody was getting so excited to see this stuff for the first time and to be a part of that and feel like you're a part of that. Not to mention getting to see stuff so early and just get a taste of what's ahead. Probably my favorite thing that when I was there, and I was there in 2007, was the team that made Get Smart. Steve Carell and Dwayne Johnson took the stage and showed us this long reel of footage of the film. This is a year before it came out. And not only did it completely sell the film, but for Pete's sake, there's Steve Carell and Dwayne Johnson showing us the movie themselves.
Sure.
It's absolutely thrilling. What's not so good about it is sometimes you could have the opposite effect, the opposite feeling rather, when you know it isn't happening, when it isn't working. One of the quietest afternoons was sitting on the panel for One Missed Call, listening to Edward Burns and Shannon Sossaman struggling to make that film sound exciting, struggling to keep the audience engaged. I mean, after a while, it was just a painful experience. And they ended up giving away cell phones just to keep people there, because otherwise it was bad. It was sad, and the movie matched the panel excitement. And obviously, the toughest thing, and certainly if you're someone who doesn't like crowds, who doesn't like being in the midst of people, Comic-Con can be an ordeal, because it is like going shopping the night before Christmas. There's people everywhere. It's a frenzy. People are struggling to get from point A to point B. It can be all about crowd control. Most of the people in the audience are enthused and they're wonderful, and you get this real sense of, as you said, a geek community. But on the other hand, you do occasionally get people who are not very... They haven't bathed in a while, And
the stench.
They don't seem to mind that. Yes, the Comic-Con stench.
The Comic-Con stench, I guess, is what it's being the moniker. Yes. What is it?
It is a very real thing. It's very much like Pigpen in Charlie Brown. After a while, you do get a sense that it is there. It's kind of like being on a bus, on a crowded bus, on a hot summer day, and everybody takes their shoes off at the same time. Although imagine that bus being the size of Kmart. That is what it's like. That's what it smells like.
So it's like B.O. and artificial nacho cheese.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, because nacho cheese stinks. And B.O. is even worse, and you smash those two together.
It is a perfect storm of gross.
With maybe just a hint of Old Spice deodorant?
No.
Not even that.
Axe body spray.
Oh, Axe body spray.
Right, yeah.
Wow. Because, Axe gets all the chicks. You wear Axe body spray.
So I've heard.
That gets all the chicks. That's why I don't wear it. I'm afraid. Anyway.
Afraid of that swarm of chicks.
Oh, swarming. I'm just swarming. I'm swimming in them. Anyway, so Comic-Con is something that, would you say is, do you think it's beneficial for the nerd culture community? Do you think it's beneficial for the nerd community? Do you think this is Hollywood's way now? Even in the respect of it seems to be all Hollywood. I mean, you got to remember, Comic-Con started really small. We're talking like, several comic book dealers, and it started extremely small, and it turned into this massive media frenzy. Do you think that Comic-Con, the way it stands now, is beneficial for the nerd community?
It is. On the one hand, it is a big commercial circus, no question. And when they take the stage, whether it's Robert Downey Jr. talking about an Iron Man film or whoever it is, there is a real sense of showmanship. There's a real sense that this is very much the studio reaching out, giving a fig leaf to the geek community and hoping and praying that it works, that it connects. Because if you kill at Comic-Con, there is a very good chance that your movie could open. It's not guaranteed, though. We know that from Scott Pilgrim. That movie killed at Comic-Con. That movie did not kill in theaters.
Which is a real shame because, sidebar, I thought that was a great movie.
It is. It certainly is. But unfortunately, sometimes these films, they may play in Hall H, but for Pete's sake, when it comes to getting the mass audience out there, sometimes everybody who saw the film in Hall H, those are the only people who show up.
Right. Very good point.
But there is a chance, though. That's the fun thing about it. There is a chance for these movies to really, really connect with the imagination and to really get the anticipation, to get the movie going salivation going for months and months, or in some cases years before they see this thing. We saw footage from The Wolfman, and the movie didn't even premiere until 2 years later.
I'm sorry you had to see that.
I didn't mind The Wolfman, but anyway.
All right, I gotta watch it again. I'm gonna watch it again.
It's not bad.
Benicio del Toro, when we're talking about Anthony Hopkins, came out back in 2009.
That's the one, 2010?
10?
I think 10.
10?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Joe Johnston? Yeah,
Joe Johnston.
Yeah.
But in any case, it's a fun thing. No question. It is certainly commercial. It's crassly commercial, but they still sell comic books there. They have so many different things for so many different people. There's so many different cosplays. There's so many different activities. And that's the thing, is there's such a muchness about it. You get the sense you're just kind of caught in this swirl, and if you don't plan your week or your weekend while you're there, it could drive you absolutely bonkers, the things that you're missing, the things that you could be seeing, should be seeing, and how much time you spend just waiting in line. It's like going to Disney World.
Right. Now, this is the first night. The first night has ended. Yep. There were no panels of note that we could talk about, but we did have a chance. I mean, we can't be there. We're in the middle of the Pacific. Hard for us to get there. We're based out of the islands, brah. That's
right.
So, we do know that there have been a couple of things that have leaked from Comic-Con themselves. It is a place to buy all kinds of crazy collectibles.
Yes.
But it's also a fun place to dress up. Like you said, the cosplay is a big deal. But we also get a sneak peek at what's coming up in the movies and in television. And one of the things that have come up in that respect is the new World of Warcraft movie directed by the one and only Duncan Jones, the son of David Bowie.
Right.
Yes, the David Bowie from Labyrinth. You know what I'm talking about?
Of course.
Yes, you remind me of the Babe. Yes, that guy.
What
His
Babe?
son, Babe with the Power. We could go on all day with this.
Night.
His son, Duncan Jones, of course, is responsible for a great film called Moon, and one that you had mentioned to me off of the podcast, which was Source Code, which to me is a great film. It lasts an hour and 26 minutes, something like that.
Tight movie.
A very tight movie. Starred Jake Gyllenhaal. If you've never seen the source code, do yourself a favor. You have to watch it. You will be doing yourself a disservice if you don't. It is a great movie, science fiction to the max. It is a fantastic, fantastic film. He has been tasked with making the new World of Warcraft movie. And for those of you nerds out there that still play World of Warcraft, which unfortunately I have lacked